Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Handgun World podcast. This is a practical show by a practical guy, and we are recording episode 138. So I've been doing this series for a long time called What Do You Carry? And I've been doing this series now over a year. And I'd like to bring people on, listeners and students and people and just friends of mine, and ask them what do they carry and why. We've had a great variety. So today I'm joined by Chad Rosenboom. Welcome to the show, Chad.
Hey, thanks for having me on, Bob.
Yeah, first time ever on the show.
Yes.
However, I want to tell everybody, Chad's been to, I think, at least a couple of the classes I did with Ben Branham, right?
Uh, three.
Been to
Maybe
three.
four.
Okay. Three
Maybe
or four?
Yeah.
All right. I'm getting old. My memory is fading on me. But
Yeah, I know the feeling.
thanks for being such a great student, Chad. So Chad's been a student. He's also been listening a long time. He's a Patreon supporter, and I thank you for that. So Chad reached out to me and he wanted to talk about what does he carry. So Chad, I'm going to start with the question, what do you carry and why?
So, Bob, I actually used to carry the last class we were at. I've carried a lot of guns over the years. It's been 25 years that I've been carrying for self-protection, and I actually the last time I saw you, I was carrying an FN 57 as a my carry gun. And after the class, well, the cost of ammo on that 57, I just couldn't shoot that, you know.
I guess that would have been pretty expensive, wouldn't it?
Yeah, a 2-day handgun class with 57 by 28 just kind of, that hurt my pocketbook too much.
Yeah, that breaks the bank, doesn't it?
Yeah. So I actually started looking into carrying a 9mm, and after all the stuff that happened with SIG, I went and got on your recommendation, a Shadow Systems. I've got really large hands. I've got long fingers, so I went with the XR920.
Now, and then, for people who may not know, tell them exactly what the XR920 is.
So the XR920 is a Glock 17 style frame with a Glock 19 slide. So you get a full-size duty gun, 17 round frame, and a little bit shorter 4.3 inch barrel, I think, Glock 19 slide.
So essentially you have the Shadow Systems version of a Glock Model 45, basically.
Correct.
Okay.
I've got one of those too, but I don't carry it.
So how do you like the Shadow Systems? You said it's based on my recommendation. So, okay, you took my recommendation. Thank you. How do you like it?
It is probably the sweetest gun. I've got a lot of, I won't say I have a lot of handguns. I have a fair amount of them. I actually prefer this over my Wilson Combat 1911.
No kidding.
Yes. I thought about going back to a 1911 and carrying that as a carry gun when I got my Wilson, and I took them both to the range and I went, no.
Why do you like it better than the Wilson Combat 1911?
So everybody talks about magazine capacity, and you hear about all this all the time, and you've said it before. You're not 5, 6, 8 rounds. Let's look at the modern thing. It's
probably going to be over.
It's going to be, if that absolutely is the worst day, it's probably going to be over in 5 to 7 rounds. That's it. That's not why I like it. I actually like it because it's got a good smooth trigger. It feels good in my hand. It locks in nice and tight. Now I've got the Shadow System. It's got the same grip angle as a 1911.
Okay.
Whatever that is. Yeah, I did I changed out they've got the adjustable back straps on them.
Yes.
And I changed mine out to put the 1911 grip angle.
Okay. See, so here's my MR920, and I don't have the 1911 grip, but it's not the Glock style grip panel either. It's the one in between those.
Yeah.
That's what I got. But you've got yours set up so it feels like shooting a 1911. At least the grip does.
It's got the same grip angle. It doesn't feel like a 1911. It actually, personally, it feels better than a 1911.
Lighter.
It's definitely lighter, and with the activities that I do and the things that, the stuff I do on a day to day, I actually prefer it. I really do.
It's lighter. It's lighter than the 1911. You don't have to worry about a manual safety.
No.
Right? You don't on the Shadow Systems gun.
Yeah, the manual safety, I mean, I've done enough drills and enough training and practice and all that where as you press forward with the 1911, your thumb's already pushed down on the manual safety, and as you pull back into your workspace, you've come up with that safety and you're just running your thumb back and forth. But even with that little bit of extra that you don't even think about, no.
But you've got good training with the 1911.
Yeah, I've taken some really good training with it down in Florida when I lived down there.
So how does your Shadow Systems, and by the way, I want to stop right here and tell everybody, this is not a commercial for Shadow Systems. I'm not sponsored by Shadow Systems. I don't think Chad is either. And however, if Trevor, the CEO there, happens to be watching this video, I'd love some feedback from him. But this is not a commercial for them. It just so happens that I own 4 of their guns. You own 2, 3?
3.
You own 3, and we like them. So how would you compare? Why do you like the XR920 better than your FN57?
So it came down to not the magazine capacity. It didn't come down to the recoil. It didn't come down to anything. It honestly came down to 9mm is 26 cents every time you pull the trigger. 5.7 by 28 at one time was a little over $1 every time you pulled the trigger.
Oh my God. Wow. Yeah.
At one time, a 50 round box of 5.7 by 28 was $84 for a box of 50.
Well, I don't blame you for making that switch.
So it was just finding a 9mm that I liked, that fit my hand, and did everything I wanted it to do.
And what optic do you have on it?
On my carry gun, I'm running a Holosun EPS, the sealed optic. It's a red dot. I've got one with a green. I previously had a green dot on it, the 507 or the 508, whatever the green was, but it was the open emitter.
Yeah.
And it was every week I was taking the gun, clean the gun, take a rag, get in there with a Q-tip, clean the Holosun, and I went, there's got to be something better than this. There has to be something better, because it just catches lint like you wouldn't believe. And I ended up going to a sealed emitter.
Okay. So can I see the XR920 again real quick with the sealed emitter and with the EPS carry? And so I want viewers and listeners who are looking right now, pull it back a little bit and from the camera, and I want them to see the grip length for people who might not be familiar. Let them see the grip length of that. So there it is. That's a Glock 17 grip length, and
let's do it that way.
Yeah, let's do it. There you go. And I believe it's probably the exact same barrel length as the G19, maybe with give or take 1/10 of an inch.
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah. So you found the 9mm that fits your hand. You could afford the ammo. What else do you like about it? How do you carry it?
I actually carry appendix. The dojo where I train, we got in there one day and we got to messing around. We were using these. I don't want anybody to freak out and think that we were taking live guns. We actually use this. We use SIRT guns.
Yep.
This is a Glock 17 SIRT. Oh, wait. I don't think they call it a Glock 17. It's their...
No, they just
whatever
call it
they call
SIRT.
it.
Yeah.
At the whatever the Glock 17 version of a cert was, and I
It's
was
the
carrying.
imitation of a Glock 17, right?
Yeah, yeah, and I had it behind my hip, and we were doing some combatives, and one of the guys pinned me to the ground, and another one stood on top of me, and I couldn't get to my pistol, and I went, okay, we got to change. Let's look at appendix. I don't like carrying appendix. I've never liked carrying appendix until I spent about 2 years carrying appendix, and that's all I carry now.
You got used to it, didn't you?
I got very much used to it, and everything is right here on the front. The gun is there. You can be on your stomach, and you can still roll to the side to pull your firearm. I can ride my motorcycle in appendix, the whole 9 yards.
What holster do you use?
So this is where people are going to laugh, and they're going to go, well, wait a minute. You're not using a tier 1. You're not using a T-Rex. What are you, really? Seriously? I'm actually using a very inexpensive Blackhawk Stache holster.
Blackhawk Stache. Okay.
They have them on Amazon. They are $35.
And it's working.
It works perfect. The only modification I've done to this holster, and I don't know if anybody can see it, but it has a piece of foam that I have put on the back.
Yeah.
You can find these little pieces of foam that go. I got a 10-pack of them, also on Amazon. No, this is not a commercial for Amazon or Shadow Systems or Blackhawk. But I got the foam on there. It was $1 a piece or something like that. It sticks on. I cut it to the shape that I wanted, and it works just fine.
Does the foam have a sticky back, or did you Velcro it on there?
No, it's got a sticky back to it. And
okay.
When it gets worn out, I'll peel it off, and I'll clean it with some, nail polish remover or something like that, and then I'll put another one of these on there.
That's really cool. What belt are you using?
I'm using a Hanks belt, one of their gun belts, not the double gun belt, but just the regular leather thick gun belt.
Okay, good.
And I've had that for the past 3 years. 3 years.
Okay. It's not infinitely adjustable. Does it have the loop and the holes?
Yes. It's just like a standard leather belt. You can't tell that it's, a gun belt by looking at it, which where I work, that works out.
Okay, good. That's good. So I'm sure you've done a lot of practice in dry fire and things like that. When you go to the range with your XR920 that you're carrying in your holster and your belt, how are you practicing? What are you doing?
So, unfortunately, the range that I go to does not allow us to work from the holster. I end up having to, I do a lot of holster work and a lot of my dry fire here at the house. I have this wonderful little thing. It's called a dry fire mag.
There you go.
This was probably the coolest training tool I have ever purchased. It is $100. Again, not a commercial for them, but it is so worth the money.
What kind is it? What's the brand of it?
Dry fire mag. That's
okay. I got to write that down. So dry fire mag is what it's called. Okay.
Yeah. You take the magazine, lock it into the gun, just to verify, and you sit here, and
that's nice.
I can pull the trigger infinite amount of times, and I never have to touch the slide.
That's great. That is good. I'm going to put a link below this video and in the show notes of the podcast for dry fire mags. And do me a favor when you get a chance, send me a link to where people can buy that holster.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I like that. So you can pull that and that's nice. I like that.
And because it's a G17, I can use this on every Glock that I own. With the Glock 26 and the Glock 19 and the Shadow Systems, the only thing I can't use it on is my 43X and my CR920.
Yeah. Of course, it's not going to fit in those.
Yeah.
And I have the CR920 also. I think it's one of the absolute best carry guns on the market.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, it's well, it's a little small for my hands, but
Yeah,
it tucks away into a pocket real nice.
it's small, but I took my CR920 to a IDPA match recently, and
How'd you
I'll tell
do?
you what, not any worse than I do with the full size guns.
Oh,
It shoots like a full size gun, the CR920. For me, it does. Um, I'm not I'm not at the expert level competition shooting level. I'm not there. So like I said, my scores in my time were no worse than taking my full size guns out there.
see, I need to do that. I need to go do a shoot an IDPA. I've always wanted to do it. I just need to find a place and just go.
Yeah. In fact, you know what I've done for the last several competitions is I now go with my small concealed carry guns, which I recommend that everybody do. So I've shot the competitions with my CR920, with my SIG P365, the Glock 43X. I think the next thing I'm going to do is go out there with my little Glock 42 380 and shoot that competition as well.
Oh,
And
that'll be fun.
yeah, I love doing that kind of stuff. There are times I take out my DR 920 just to have
Hmm.
fun when I want to play the game. Another question. Get back to your XR 920. Do you have the
Sure.
combat or the elite version?
I've got both. I carry the
Both.
combat.
Oh wow.
I carry. So I bought the combat. And
Yeah.
then I started thinking about I was constantly, because I was trying to get used to the dot. And then I got used to the dot and I didn't want to get away from the dot and I wanted to keep working with the dot. I'm 47 years old, I wear glasses, I've had a couple of concussions. I want to be able to make sure that I've got a good clear sight picture and I like the idea of the dot. I pay attention to people who have walked the path before me, Gabe Suarez, Scott Jadinsky,
Hmm.
all those guys have walked before me. So I'm going to follow them. They've put a path out there for us. So let's pay attention.
Well, they
And,
have, and there's a lot of them that have walked the path. I pay
uh-huh.
attention to all of them.
And, I would get off work. I would come home. I'd come back here into my gun room. I'd clear my gun and I'd practice drawing and work from the dot, bring the dot up, bring the dot up. And I was like, man, this is the fifth 9mm I've had to chuck because I've, okay, now I'm done. Let me pull the dry fire mag out. Let me take it to go to the other half of the house, put a live mag in there, run the slide, get a live round into it. And then you eject that round the next day. And I'm like, man, this is going to get expensive. Oh, I know. This is an excuse to go buy a new gun. So
That's great. That's great.
So I went on Gunbroker because I knew what I wanted, which was another XR920, but it didn't have to be in the best of shape. So I went on Gunbroker and I bought the Elite model. I put a comp on this one because I've just playing around with it. But I bought that Elite model and set it up identical to my carry gun before I had the comp on there. And then what I would do is I would just take the gun out of the holster, set it in the drawer, close the drawer, come back here into the back room, take the Elite out that I got really stupid cheap
On Gunbroker, used.
on Gunbroker,
Yeah.
used.
Yeah.
I think I got it for like $550.
Well, that's amazing. And Chad, I got to ask you a question about that. From my experience, buying a used firearm, especially something like a Shadow Systems, a Glock, Smith and Wesson M&P, Sig 320s, some of these modern guns, I find that they're usually in great condition, not used very much, and pretty darn close to a new gun. Did you find that?
Yeah, there might have been, judging by the wear and tear on the barrel, there might have been 100 rounds in this gun. Maybe.
And you got it for half the price of a new one.
Yes. So that became the home for my dry fire mag.
Yeah.
And then I would just pull this out of the safe, put it into the holster, and I could work holster drills and the whole
Yeah.
9 yards right here at the house.
That is really nice. Two XR920s. One of them you're training and practicing with, and the other one you're carrying.
Yep. That way I don't have,
Yes.
and they were set up identical. Same red dots, same sights, same trigger, identical guns.
You know, and that I want to talk about that. This wasn't planned. It wasn't planned to talk about this subject, but since you brought it up, I love the concept of having two identical guns. Whichever gun you choose to carry, have two identical guns, one for training purposes and one for carry purposes. I think that's great.
Yeah, back in the day, that's exactly how I had my carry gun back in Florida when I carried a Beretta 92. I actually had two of them, and one of them was, they were identical. I bought one. A year later, I went and bought another one. I mean, holsters, the whole 9 yards. Everything worked across the board. I didn't have to go buy extra stuff. I didn't have to go do this. I didn't have to go do that. If something happened with one of my guns, well, I don't have to go dig around in the holster box for which holster for the different gun. I just take the one gun to the gunsmith or fix it myself and, carry the other one.
And there's a lot of good reasons for having two of the exact same gun. That's probably, I think I'm going to make a whole nother show out of just that topic, but I think that's pretty cool. A couple of last questions, then I'll give you the open floor. So you got your XR920, you're carrying an appendix. You told us about the holster. You told us about the belt. What kind of clothing you usually have on when you're carrying?
So I'll either wear a pair of jeans, motorcycle boots, and t-shirt. I'm a fairly big guy. I'm 6'3". I'm 225 pounds. I'm in fairly good shape. Well, when my knee finishes healing up.
Right.
I'm recovering from a knee surgery where I had my ACL replaced.
Ouch.
So
ouch.
I've put on a little bit of weight, so I'm working that off, and tomorrow's actually the 1 year anniversary from post-surgery. So
let's hope that's a good thing.
Yeah. But if I'm wearing jeans and a t-shirt, or I'll be wearing a pair of cargo shorts, and I'm still carrying the XR920, one spare magazine.
No problems concealing.
No problems concealing underneath a t-shirt or a Hawaiian shirt or something like that.
No major printing or anything?
No. This thing, so the holster that I use, it adjusts perfectly, so where you can set it up exactly where you want it.
Good. What's the name of the holster again?
It's a Blackhawk Stache.
Stache?
Yep, STACHE.
Okay.
I'll send you a link for it.
Stache, STAASHE, Stache. Okay. Yeah, send me a link. I'm going to put that below this video and, of course, in the show notes. All right, so we've got a few minutes left.
That's not all that I carry on me. So I also...
Okay, keep going.
I don't carry a second gun, but I do believe in... I heard it on Student of the Gun, and they have the thing where you carry the critical 4. Something sharp, something bright,
yeah,
something lethal, and an ankle medical kit.
Very good. I don't have the 4th. I have the other 3, but I need to start carrying the ankle medical kit.
Oh, that's the easy part. You can get every bit of it from... Everybody makes an ankle.
I know where to get them. I know where to get them. I just need to get one and start carrying it. I realize
Yeah.
the importance of it.
Take the family, go do a stop the bleed class.
Yeah. Yep. And I'm glad you just brought this up because I'm doing this series, What Do You Carry and Why? And we're always focused on the guns. And I'm glad that you focused on the other stuff that you carry. And I got the sharp stuff too, right here.
Hmm.
And I got the bright stuff.
See,
So
that's the
I got
exact same
sharp and
flashlight
bright.
I've got.
You got the this is a Streamlight
Pro Tac 2LX.
Pro Tac 2LX. How about that? We got the
Yep.
same flashlight.
Yep.
We got the same
I
thing.
use my I use my flashlight more than I use anything else.
Same here. Same here.
Maybe more than using my knife.
Well, my knife is a close second. I use this knife a lot. Never had to use it in self-defense, which is good. But boy,
Hmm.
that's a lot of good utility purposes for this thing.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and you know what's funny about carrying a knife? This never fails. I mean, this probably happens to me once a week. One of my family members or a friend of mine that I'm with needs to open something. Hey, Bob, you got your knife on you? Yep, I always have my knife on me. So I'm giving this to other people to use too.
Yeah, we my wife and I actually went out to dinner one night, and the steak knife they brought me was awful. It wouldn't even cut through the steak. Again, it was medium rare, but the steak knife was absolute garbage. And I was like, "Hey,
Terrible.
can I get a new steak knife?" They're like, "Oh yeah, sure." I was like, "I just dropped it, and it's kind of dull. I can't cut the steak with it." She walked off, and I was like, "Well, I'm hungry, so
There you go.
I guess we're going to use this to cut a steak."
I'm sure it did a great job too.
It did a fantastic job.
Actually, for me, this flashlight is actually the most used thing that I carry.
Mm-hmm.
My Streamlight is this is man. I'm pulling this out almost every day for something, for some
Yeah.
reason. I'm pulling this out. I mean, and it's so great, even just for finding things that might be in a dark part of the house. It's
Or,
so awesome.
or even when it's not dark, you'll
Yeah.
take the light, turn it on, set it on the ground. You'll be like, okay, now I can find this little tiny part.
Yep. Exactly. One time I was taking a trip. I was flying, and I took this flashlight, and I had left it in my backpack, and I went through TSA. Most of the time, TSA doesn't say a word. One time they did. They opened it up and reached in, pulled it out, and the agent actually pulls it out, shows it to me, and says, "What is this?" And I
Mm.
couldn't believe he asked that question. I said, "It's a flashlight." Oh, yeah, yeah, it is a flashlight. Why do you carry it? I said, "I'm afraid of the dark."
See, there you go.
He just came, he said, "Okay," he put it back in my backpack and said, "No problem, go through." Um, but they don't know how to answer that question. I'm afraid of the dark. They don't know what to say.
Yeah, that throws them for a loop every time.
But it's such a useful tool. So I got to get the ankle medical kit. You motivated me to do that.
Cool. I'm glad I could help.
Yeah. Chad, any last words? I'm going to give you the last couple minutes.
Um, Go get some training. It doesn't matter what it's at. Go take a stop the bleed class. Go do something. Go take some training. I know we're all focused on the guns, but you're 99% more likely to need some medical training than you are to actually have to pull a gun.
Definitely. Definitely. I'd like to add something to that. I promised I'd give you the last word, but I'm going to take that promise back. When you're talking about training, take some tactics training. How to avoid getting out of a fight. Take some situational awareness training. What are you going to do when you're in a bad situation? You don't want to shoot first. What are you going to do? How are you going to get out of that situation? Take some training on that too. Would you agree?
Oh yeah, definitely. I told you about the little incident we had here coming out of breakfast. Had my head up my rear end, wasn't paying attention. This guy comes up, looks at my wife and I, and he goes, "Hey, God bless you." Well, God bless you too. It's Sunday morning. We're just got done with breakfast. We're talking about what we're doing for the rest of the day. We're walking towards a truck. This guy starts approaching. He gets more than 2 arms lengths. I'm like, "Hey, what's going on? Hold on." And he goes, "Hey man, I'm staying over here. I need some help." I was like, "Look, I don't carry any cash. Sorry, I can't help you. If you're hungry, I'll be glad to buy you breakfast, but I don't carry any cash." And this dude, he outweighed me by 200 pounds. And of
Whoa.
course, I already told everybody I'm a big dude. I'm 220.
Whoa.
I'm 6'3" and I'm 220. And this guy outweighed me by at least 150, 200 pounds. And he moved to close personal, almost bad breath distance, and went, "There's an ATM machine right over there," and pointed to the side. And I mean, just trying to use his size to intimidate me. And I pushed off of him so quick, my wife went, "Nope." She was in your class too. She's taken some tactics and everything else.
Yeah.
So she moves to the left where she can get on his blind side in case I decide to go to work on this dude. My hand went to my hip. I pushed off of him, and his hands went straight up in the air, and I went, "You need to take off." And he went, "Yep, I do." And
Yeah.
turned around very
He
quickly,
changed his
walked
mind.
away. But it was how quickly that went sideways,
Yep.
so fast.
Yeah, but it was also your good reaction too.
Yeah, but had I
It was
been
your
paying
good
better
tactic.
attention,
True.
had I been paying better attention, that wouldn't have happened.
Had you been paying better attention, yes. But you've had some tactics training, not just only in my class, but it sounds like you've had some others. And so your tactics, your technique saved the day.
Yeah. Well, it's
After
just,
you weren't paying attention and messed up that way, you still saved the day.
well, any day that you can walk away and you don't have to shut off your social media. You don't have to, do any of that stuff. I guess that's a good thing.
Yes, it is. Good. Well, this is a great way to end. Chad, thanks for coming on. I appreciate that.
Yeah,
And thanks for giving your time. I want to tell everybody if you like what we just did here, you want to see more, I got a Patreon page. Chad's a supporter, and I'd love to get your support. I do a lot of private videos like this with a lot of experts, including people like Chad, and I interview them. I put them on Patreon. If you're not listening to my audio podcast, you can find that at Handgun World Podcast. A link for that will also be in the show notes, in the video notes. Some of you are listening by audio right now. And give me some ratings and give me some support out there. Chad, thanks for coming on. And I have an idea for a part 2. You mind if I reach out to you again in a couple weeks?
sure.
Yeah,
Anytime.
I got an idea. I'll send you an email about it first.
Okay, sounds good.
All right. Take care, brother.
Yeah, you too, man.
Later.